welcome to another episode of
Mum
and Son. I'm Jay, I'm the son.
I'm Alicia and I'm the mum.
It's good to have you here again, like always. Back with another episode.
Yeah,
And
lovely to see you guys.
Yeah. And I tell you what, this one I think is going to be good.
A good one, yeah. We think all of them are good.
Yeah. Like, all of them are like good. And you can check those episodes out if you want and see if we are telling the truth, which we are, we think. Anyway, but this one I think is going to be good because I think it's something that is important in everything we do talk about, but we've never really focused on it.
That's true.
It's huge, this one.
Yeah. So today's episode is going to be about self-worth. You know, understanding your worth, the importance of feeling self-worth, you know, what you do if you feel unworthy. And if you do feel unworthy, how to rebuild your self-worth.
Yeah.
So something to that tune.
Yeah. And I know there's going to be many layers, but in an interesting way.
Yeah.
In that, hopefully you're coming to this video and you're going to be finding that what we talk about is going to be applicable to you, because
and in many areas.
But that's because there's going to be many areas as well.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Where do we begin?
Where do we begin with this one?
I want to ask you a
This
question.
is going to be an interesting one.
I want to ask you a question. Why do you feel some people become or feel unworthy? I thought let's start with the sort of the negative side of it and then bring it all back to the positive. But there is a big element out there and feeling of unworthiness. So why do you think some people feel unworthy of either having something or becoming something or being able to do something? Where do you feel that feeling or you know, state of being originates from in your point of view?
Well, do you know what? I think it's different for everyone.
Of course,
because everyone's going to have their reasons. Some it could be, well, when I was growing up, this is what I heard, and therefore I never had no self-worth. Or some people, we could basically make excuses about anything, my background, my race, my gender, everything else. But ultimately, I think what happens is that if there is a lack of self-worth, there's almost a lack of living to your full potential. Because you hold yourself back. And I think it's not only about why there's a lack of self-worth, but it's almost looking at it and saying, have you had enough of whatever reason you've been using to justify it, to say it's now my time to actually go forward. It's now my time to actually look at myself, do some inner work and start to build my worth up. Because the truth is that there's something here that you have to offer, I believe.
Everyone.
And if you can't acknowledge your worth, then it's almost like you're stopping yourself of giving something worthy to others, as well as just feeling worthy within yourself, but giving your worth to others.
And there's also a sense of, if you don't feel you have any worth, then you do become worthless in the eyes of others, because that is the viewpoint you hold, and you begin to undervalue who you are as a person, as an individual, and you know, you begin to undervalue the things that you are basically undervaluing in a way that comes to sabotage you in all aspects of your life. It may not be intentional in any way, but you know, it becomes a foundation of a lot kind of going wrong for you,
definitely,
you know, in the long run. So it is so important today we talk about, you know, coming from that place and how to build it up, and you know, reestablish your worth, reestablish your value, reestablish all those things to help you get a foothold back into, what you want to do, what you want to achieve.
Definitely. I think it's also very important too, we'll probably talk more about this later, is because sometimes it's not even just that you have no self-worth and don't feel worthy of something to the point that you don't just maybe hold yourself back from doing it or having it or attaining it. But sometimes there could be things where something is, I won't say given to you on a plate in a literal sense, but a good opportunity could present itself in your life, but you don't even
feel worthy
take it
enough.
up because you don't feel worthy enough as well. So there's even that thing sometimes of receiving something, but not even feeling worthy
of receiving it.
Yeah.
So it's not just creating lack, it's also losing out on things that are coming to you. Maybe they opportunities, or be they sort of things that offer you,
even a relationship.
You might meet an amazing person, but all of a sudden you're sabotaging it because you don't feel worthy of that person, and you don't, you perceive that you're not worthy enough to be with them. That happens a lot,
It absolutely does, and even on a job level, there can sometimes be people that go, "Hey, you know what? There's an opening. I think you'd be good for it.
Yeah.
Should I put you forward?" Something like that.
Yes.
Someone could turn that, even though it sounds a bit strange saying this, it's true.
Because you might feel, I'm not kind of worthy enough to undertake the responsibilities of that role.
Yeah.
I don't feel worthy enough to handle, it may be more kind of a management thing, and you're thinking, you just doubt yourself because your self-worth has been, reduced to not allowing you to have more self-belief, not allowing you to feel empowered.
Yeah.
And, you are basically shrinking.
Exactly.
It makes you shrink.
Yeah, it does.
So you not only shrink away from opportunities that may be presented to you, but you start to shrink away, I don't know, may I say, into your shell, that, you're not being bold enough to put yourself forward, to strive for what you want, to move in a direction that you really are worthy of, but you feel you're not.
Yeah.
And how do you recognize that kind of balance if you actually feel unworthy, that you can't counteract it, yet in a way you should be more worthy? How does one, kind of work out that balance? I think you really have to do a lot of self-reflection.
That's what I was going to say. It all starts there. With self-worth, it's all an inner job.
I think so. I was going to, and you know what I also think? I also think that, this is part of what we spoke about for self-reflection. That episode comes up all the time.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it.
You see the cornerstone of
everything.
What we talk about. Is self-reflection is a big key.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say, in that episode, we spoke a little bit about, pinpointing things. And this is what I feel is really important, that you sometimes, as part of self-reflection, if you are going to think about why you feel kind of, your self-worth has been so trashed, you need to reflect on or pinpoint where it originated from. Because I always feel that if you can pinpoint the origin of things, you automatically can deal with them. Maybe, let's say, for example, you self-reflect, you pinpoint where a sense of, or a situation where your self-worth, in your view, got a little bit trashed. It may have been something you said. It could even be, something your peers said. It may be something at work. It may be your parents. It may be some little thing that sparked
Yeah.
that sense of unworthiness within you. Now, I feel in these cases, it's a hard thing, but if you can look back to who it was or what was it that made you begin to feel unworthy, you can see it maybe from a more, either say, if you were a little one, you could see it from a more adult point of view and squash it. If you're an adult and it happened in your adulthood, you can see it from a more empowered point of view and try and squash it. But I feel somehow with feelings of, you know, self-worth, if you do become unworthy or feel unworthy, you do need to self-reflect and look at where it started and try and kick it out. Try and deal with it as best you can to help you feel more worthy and move forward.
Definitely.
What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that doing that, sort of pinpointing it, self-reflecting, and almost seeing where the birth or the origin of this all came from is huge, because you have to sort of recognize what's gone on to
deal with,
make peace with it, or heal with it, or unload it, to begin to move forward. Because sometimes you could say, but I don't want to go there, I just want to move forward, and you may be able to, but I think ultimately you might find yourself falling back in a similar place because the root of everything
hasn't been dealt with.
It's still too surface.
Yeah.
And that's why we said opening this, or a few minutes ago, this self-worth thing is an inside job.
Yeah. You
know, it has to be an inside job.
And this can even be, this is a big one for relationships, because if something has gone wrong in a previous relationship, you know, you maybe start to feel unworthy of finding a better one, or you know, improving your lot. You may think, oh, that's all I deserve, I always choose the wrong person, you know. And even in a relationship situation, you still have to try and go and pinpoint, you know, was it a past relationship that made you become the way you are? If so, how to deal with that, or to reflect on it and try and make peace with it and move forward.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in other circumstances, job, money, lifestyle, whatever, this aspect also ties in very strongly.
It definitely does. And I think in adding to what you're saying about pinpointing it, I think the next thing that's really huge is starting to build up that self, because I think we talked about it previously in regards to sort of self-love and a bit of compassion and things. I know we mentioned it and stuff like that. I'm trying to think.
I think it's been scattered in
around.
between.
We'll probably maybe do another thing on that, but that has to then play a part in this,
in building in the recovery and building
because you can't
yourself
feel
up.
worthy if you're not learning to build a relationship with yourself again to the point that you begin to love and support yourself.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost by doing that, the worthiness also comes with it. So as well as pinpointing things and sort of acknowledging that and knowing where this is coming from, you have to also
now that I understand that, how do
sometimes
I
there
move forward?
could be things of forgiving, or even forgiving yourself, because you could beat yourself up saying, oh, why have I been so stupid, I am, you know, but we're now going back into, there's no self-worth there. So, but there has to be an element as well of self-compassion and self-love and support, so that you can build a relationship with yourself again. Because
actually that's key.
I
love that regardless if it's the relationship type stuff or any situation, you begin to say, I need to build a relationship with myself again, regardless of what is taking place.
What's taking place.
That is powerful. I like that. Carry on with what you were saying.
So you know, that has to also,
it does,
that has to be done
it does
as well.
And
then it's going to be more easier or possible to build, as you said earlier, about a foundation of things. It's going to be easier or better to build a foundation on that solid ground.
Of self-worth.
Of self-worth,
Yeah.
self-love, building a better relationship with yourself.
Yes.
So,
because I think if you do build a better relationship with yourself, you are strengthened.
that's it. You
become more empowered, and you feel more worthy.
Yeah, and that even will organically come about as well. To the point that it's not just, as I was saying earlier, too surfaced and forced. It's almost like, no, you're going inside and literally seeing where things are coming from, but also building everything from the inside out again, to the point that, as you were saying,
it starts to affect the external.
Yeah, even that it does, and even your self-image on yourself, it gets built up again. And these things all create a better feeling of self-worth as well.
And even this self-worth thing, it just came to mind that sometimes it's even about the way you see yourself. Sometimes we can be too overcritical. You can say, oh, I need to lose weight. I need to, oh, I wish this was different or that was different about myself. You can start to build a whole, plethora of things that just lead to unworthiness in general.
Yeah.
So it is key. You really do rebuild the relationship with yourself and take it from there. Build it up. Build yourself up. Doesn't have to be a huge leap. Just steps that make you reclaim your self-worth.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. This is like something just came to me, which I saw the other day on Instagram, and there was some guy who was, I think, like some sort of millionaire, and he was saying, like, everyone's looking at me and they're looking at my net worth, but they don't understand that this is just an extension of all my self-worth.
Wow.
And he goes, the problem with, other people is that they could see me and want to ask things, this and that, but they might be too scared to, or they may feel this and that. And it's not because their net worth isn't where mine is. It's because their self-worth isn't where mine is. And that is a very nice or good way to look at things too.
Wow.
Sometimes self-worth can be the cornerstone and a massive thing towards going for things, having things, attaining things,
turning a corner,
things like that.
Yeah.
And when I even see it in that type of way, it's almost like when you talked about the things being overcritical and things like that, it's almost like the self-worth we have, if it was like a net worth, in you've built up a great net worth of assets. When you do those things, it's almost like you're removing the assets from your self-worth.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. By doing those things, you're kind of taking it out of your, like, I'm thinking about it in terms of money now.
It's business. Like, in a business sense, it correlates.
Analogy, yeah. So it's almost like that as well. Like, you need to keep adding and building up your biggest asset, which is yourself.
Self-worth, yeah.
And you need to keep adding to that and stuff.
You do, because, it becomes vital in how you are going to progress in life, how you are going to move forward. How do you see yourself in certain situations amongst certain people, and how do you see yourself evolving? If you feel unworthy of so much around you or within yourself, there is no hope of turning it around or aspiring to the things you want to do or achieve, because you are literally, we talked about judgment, didn't we? How we can so easily judge ourselves. But when you feel unworthy, or your self-worth is at a very low point, it undermines everything that you may want to do or achieve in your life. So it has to be tackled. It's an inside job. It does have to be tackled. But by tackling it, you are moving forward. You're making progress. You're evolving by that process, no matter how great or small you know, you feel you can take the little steps to change or to improve your lot, so to speak. But actually, you know what? Talking about it now, it's sort of really dawned on me how important it is.
Well, that's it. That's why when we even started, I said that
you
this
said
was
it
going to
was,
be,
yeah, but I thought
because it's something
every...
that is sprinkled in everything we sort of do, but we've never really looked at it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we haven't even mentioned it in its topical phrase.
Yeah.
All the time, but it's so important because it's a big cornerstone of a lot of things.
Yeah. And if you don't have or feel self-worth, you're undermining almost everything.
Yeah.
Relationships, work, everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be it business, be it, you know, even you're undermining, even some people feel a lack of self-worth within their family setting.
Yeah.
You
definitely.
know, their siblings have more say and whatever, you know, because even in a family setting, you may have kind of had your self-worth shrunk.
Yeah.
By what your siblings, you know, do and act.
Yeah,
and they always
definitely.
Leave you
Yeah,
last,
it
or something like that. You know, it's
parents,
across
friends,
board.
Work or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, within a relationship of sorts, it can happen. Literally.
And even relationship-wise, it can also be relationships with, you know, your parents, with other members
exactly.
of your family.
That's it. Yeah,
all
it
of
could
that
be
comes
other types of
into play.
relationships as well. Yeah,
you know,
definitely so.
You know, sometimes siblings fight, one calls one something and another calls another. You take it to heart and you find that it's dominated your life. That feeling of lack of self-worth.
Yeah.
And, you know, all those things must be turned around.
It's
in
definitely
as best
true.
a way that
and
you can.
Sometimes it's things like that. Sometimes it's things there's more trauma involved.
Indeed, yes.
And things, and that's why I think I opened up when you asked me. I said, you know what, it could be for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
And everyone would have their own reason and justify it being, but my one is more of a justifiable reason than anyone else's. But ultimately, you know, what you want to say is, and that's why I think I mentioned it earlier too, is how do I, regardless of whatever it is, how do I build a relationship with myself?
Yeah.
Because the better you build that, even the more organically the self-worth will actually start to come.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there can't be self-worth if
there's no self-love.
There's no self-love, and the relationship with yourself has no worthy or value.
Yeah.
You know, there can't be. That's like trying to force something, but yet.
So what would you say to someone who says, you know, I can't love myself. I just, you know, and sometimes some people say, I hate who I am. I hate myself.
No, of course. And I think that's even one of the hardest things, because when it comes to things like self-love and that, it's very hard. Because I remember someone saying this, and I'm sure we'll do an episode on self-love as well, but they said, if I gave you a list of things that you love to write down, how long would it take until you get to yourself? You know, and that's a real representation of, and it's not self-love.
Probably be at the bottom of most people's list,
and or most people won't even think about it. And it's not in a way of conceit or vanity. It's in a way of appreciating and supporting and building yourself up, because you can't give out something that you don't have within yourself. So you have to feel that love for yourself before you can actually give it to even others
and receive it.
Yeah,
you know, it's true. And the thing with what you just said, it's like, you know, you have to find within yourself a way to counteract whatever it is you feel, whether it's self-loathing or, you know. What I want to say is we each have something of value to give in our lives. The purpose of our life's journey is to explore those options. Everybody has value and meaning.
Definitely.
You know, the fact that you're here is reassurance enough of your worth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that you have life and you are on this earth should be validation enough of your worth.
You're worthy enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so if you really can't see it, that alone must give you the reassurance that you have value here, you have a purpose here, your life is important, and so is your worthiness to partake of that life and go forward in that life. Because I have heard some people say things that, you know, they really feel worthless.
Sure.
You know, and worthy of nothing, and have a self-loathing and, you know, sort of feelings that, you know, they're not worthy in any way. But I feel that the fact you're here should be worthy, you know, should be worthiness enough to give you a little sense of empowerment to fight your way back. It might be a struggle. You might not even like what you see. You know, maybe you might not like what you see when you look deep within yourself. You know, you may not like what you see when you look deep within others and how they may have affected you. But you must try and face it in some way.
Yes.
To, as you said, restore the relationship you have within yourself. Everyone is so busy thinking about relationships with other people, this, that, but what about yourself?
That's it. And, you know, the more there's a lack of self-worth, the more disaligned you are with having a good relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think going back to what you said as well, because everything you said there was phenomenal, but also going back to what you said when I was talking about the self-love thing as well, is that if people can't do that, I think we've done videos on it previously about, you know, self-forgiveness.
Definitely.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Where you may need to start there, because maybe you're harboring so much against yourself.
Exactly.
That's
a
trying
good
to do that.
one as well. Forgiveness.
So it's all about, and I think we might have done one on self-trust or something else.
Yeah,
but
we did.
The ones we do on self stuff,
are
those ones will help you, even if it's not sort of self-love based, just self-forgiveness, self-trust, self-acceptance, or like whatever it is. Those type of things will, self-awareness. Those type of things will help you start to build a relationship with yourself in a more maybe general way, if one can't jump straight into, wow, you know, let me learn to love myself, or let me learn to build myself up. It might be unloading a whole load of stuff you've had against yourself first. So that's what I'd say or do in regards to those who maybe you can't sort of learn to love yourself like that. It's fine, but just learn to accept yourself, just learn to forgive yourself,
be at peace,
and then everything else will happen in its own time.
I agree with that. Like, at the end of the day, you know, everything rests with you. You are the creator of your own destiny, so you have to own it. That, let me stop either blaming others or looking to others as being the issue here. Let me rather work on myself. And, you know, it is easier said than it is done, because you are taking certain matters into your own hands. But as one of the things I always say, a lot of things, the answers do lie within. You know, not externally. So if you are able to, you know, I don't want to mention reflection, but if you're able to, because we always talk about if you're able to work on that. Well, I talked a little bit about pinpointing things Because once you pinpoint things, it's easier to overcome them because you can see them from a different standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
But yeah, like this inner job is for you to save your own, not your own life, but your own state of being in this world, to turn as much as you can around.
No, it's
to the
true.
best of your ability.
It's absolutely true, and
because people don't come to you and say, "Oh, we know you lack self-worth. We care about that. Let's do something about it."
No, yeah,
You're not going to
exactly.
say that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You are the one who has to become aware of this feeling of lack of self-worth or your self-worthiness. Whether it's positive or negative, you're the one who becomes aware of it because of the way it begins to affect you. Nobody is going to come along and say, say if you're crying, people will come along and say, "Well, you're crying." Oh, they can see that.
Sure,
but self-worth is a deep thing that
you have to
people don't recognise.
Or be aware of it within yourself sometimes, because it isn't something that everyone can usually see.
Yeah. So you have to start that process.
Yeah, and what I'd say actually, just adding on to that and talking about pinpointing things, is sometimes you can have it in different facets or, aspects, because you may have a feeling of self-worth when it comes to, for some people it could be, I don't know, money or something else, but then maybe in a relationship sense you don't feel the same.
Correct.
So see where it is in your life that a lack is playing a big part. Because that's also true as well. Sometimes you could feel worthy in a sense of a job, because
but
you may go, I'm very
in
confident with my skills I have, this and that. But then in a relationship sense,
it does.
However you may feel, it might not be there.
Yeah.
Or maybe in a relationship sense you do, but then in a money sense you don't. Or so,
that's interesting actually, because self-worth is not across board in all aspects of your life, as you said. I mean, some people know that I'm really good at doing something, and their self-worth in relation to that is very high. But in relation to other things, it's really good you mentioned this, because in relation to other things, they do feel unworthy. Yeah. So that's a really good point. And that's a good way to pinpoint.
Is maybe where is it? Because if it's lacking overall, then fair enough.
Yeah.
But if it isn't,
in different
then you
places,
need to find out where are those places that it is.
Yeah.
And why, and then doing the things that we mentioned as well.
Absolutely. Gosh, well, that was quite a deep one.
Yeah.
I really, really hope you enjoyed that, because I got a lot out of it myself. Thinking of some of the things and topics that came up, about this, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is far greater than what I thought it would be.
Yeah. It is one of those things, and you just have to think to yourself, is what I'm doing or how I'm feeling with this and that, is that worth it? Or is feeling happy, tapping into my full potential, enjoying things like I know I should,
and building a good relationship,
is that worth it? Which one is more worth it? Because whichever one you find more worth it is going to tell you about your worth. Yeah.
That's true. One of your sayings.
So even from a general point, look at it like that. And I believe that if you're watching or listening to this episode, then it's because you feel that you're worth more. And that's why you're here. Yeah. So this video hopefully will be the catalyst to help you. Yeah, to rebuild
your worthiness. And listen, you are worthy of everything you want. You're worthy of, having the lifestyle you want, living the life you want, meeting the person that you want. You're worthy of having the job or the business you want. You're worthy of everything. Own it. Yeah. Believe it. And it's yours. That's what I think.
I totally agree.
Oh dear. Well, I guess we've come to another
the episode. If you liked it, obviously anyone that may need to listen to this or hear it, watch it, this episode, feel free to pass it on. And any comments you have on it or anything like that,
please let us know.
Please let us know. And if you obviously enjoyed it, found it helpful, useful, then give a thumbs up and give a like. And if you want more other episodes like this, then just make sure that you subscribe.
Yeah, and make sure you put your bell notifications on,
Bell
because when we have a new episode, you'll get to know about it.
Exactly. And also, we're also on Spotify and
Yes.
other major podcast platforms as well, if you want to listen to us as well.
Great. So I guess that we will see you soon.
And it's MumNSon. And until the next one, we are done. Take it easy.
Bye.